Let's freaking go. A happy Sunday to you all. Starting right off the jump here, big congrats to Colin Hurley, an Elite 11 finalist. I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. Also, look, some big SEC news happened this week. Payton Thorne committed to Auburn. Won't talk a whole lot about Auburn. I know a lot of you are very disappointed about what happened this weekend with LSU baseball. I'll touch on that a little bit later, but you guys come here for football chatter. Okay. So this is the simple truth, and I am going to be forthright with every single one of you. TREY AMOS very well could be LSU's best corner, period, if he were to commit to LSU. And that is the cold, hard truth about this young man from UL. And it very well could be the second straight year that arguably LSU's best corner came from Cajun country, right? So, I think Jarek was a slightly better player. Mekhi Gardner was really good for us. And there were a lot of complaints last year when Gardner came over. How will he translate to the SEC? So a little bit later, we're going to do a film study with TREY AMOS, and you guys can see for yourself and be your own judge how you feel about TREY AMOS. I'm going to try tomorrow night, Monday night, to have a full TREY AMOS film study done. Okay. We're also going to chat some about Keon Coleman. I spoke to a few of my people down there in Tallahassee. He had a visit. I'll give you my honest thoughts about LSU's chances there. I know a lot of you want to know about Logan Diggs. I know a lot of you want to know about a few other things. Okay. So, one quick thing I do want to add here. Okay. Right off the jump here. So, we shouted out Colin Hurley, a 2024 player, a player who has not yet played it down for LSU. I'm going to do another shout out at the beginning of today's show to a wonderful young man by the name of Caleb Jackson, who today ran a 10.66 100-meter dash. That was his PR, otherwise known as his best ever 100-meter dash. That is absolutely absurd at his weight, which is well over 200 pounds. You guys know I am a sucker for running back weight. I think it's the most underrated statistic, even though it's not really a statistic. Some of it is just biology. That's pretty huge. And I'm going to tell you why a little bit later. Okay. So I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can. As you guys know, with live streams, you guys control the topics. Okay. But just right off the jump here, I want it to be known that I think at this point, if you were to say, hey, who is more important, Logan Diggs or TREY AMOS? I've been asked that question quite a bit. I couldn't give you a straight up answer because I had not sat down and watched AMOS yet. The kid can play. He can really freaking play. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's the next Patrick Peterson or somebody like that, but that's not what we're looking for. Those guys come once every blue moon, right? So we're going to hope for the best for LSU. And a little bit later, we're going to do some film study. Okay. So once again, if we can be very civil in the comments, it gets a little nasty. We get some trolls from other fans. I can see in my periphery here that those are already starting to seep in here. So, yeah. Now, moving forward on live streams, you're going to hear me, and this is a little bit easier for my short form editor, my guy Branson from North End Zone. At the beginning of every live stream, I'm going to give you just 5 minutes of like a little bit of an opening monologue, but I promise we go straight to your comments after 5-ish minutes. Okay. So let's get to your comments here today. What's up, Mick? Good to see that you are doing great. Well, I hope you're doing great. Tyler is one of our mini baseball experts here on PHL. Glad to see North End Zone have a good weekend at Jazz Fest. I hope each and every one of you at Jazz Fest had a great, safe time. Okay. AP, good to see you. Tony, good to see you. Pierce wants to chat some baseball. I think a lot of you are here for an escape from what happened this weekend. All the big LSU accounts out there, all the big LSU media members, they have gotten their takes out about LSU baseball. I'm not an LSU baseball expert. I did watch game 2. Okay. I didn't watch game 1. Didn't watch a pitch of Game 3. Okay. And here's why, because I am doing film study when I'm not watching LSU baseball. And today I just watched TREY AMOS today. And it takes a while. You guys know I take it very seriously. Donald, thank you so much. And the master Blaster, good to see you, my friend. Okay, we are live on Facebook as well. So if you are a Facebooker, of course, I would prefer you guys New Roads, Louisiana. That's good. Your dad's from New Roads. That's great. I want everyone to, listen very closely. Okay. The best thing you could do with PHL, obviously, Super Chat goes a long way. You're helping me pay my rent. That's how I make most of my money. Okay. We are going to do something a little bit special here tonight. Okay. We did hit 9,000 subscribers. Okay. That was a mark that I wanted to hit before the season even began. Okay. LSU YouTube, it may seem like it's a big space. It's not, and it's very competitive. The fact that you guys choose me over the past couple of years to make this my full-time dream, I really do mean it. It goes a long way. That's why I try and do as many PHL meetups as I possibly can. We just did a huge one in Bossier City, Louisiana, and Patrick Queen just happened to show up. How about that? And that Dre Jenkins and Michaela Williams duo isn't bad either. Okay, so I don't like giving out my burrows. It's my last rated rookie burrow. I'm going to give this out tonight for 9,000 subscribers, and we're actually going to give out potentially an even bigger burrow later in the week. So I'm so happy that we hit 9. You guys know the number 9 is a huge number in LSU lore and just Louisiana football lore, as you guys could see right here. I'm a Drew Brees fan as well. So we're going to give this out tonight to somebody. Why not? Okay. Now, something else we'll also do, if we hit $100 in Super Chats tonight, we're going to give out an autographed LSU card. I got a few Cardell Thomas cards, but I don't think that's going to be going like flies. Cody actually won a card last week, but he left before he could claim it. So we might give him something else and still give out a Charles Turner card. Okay. He's got the number 9 in his uniform. Charles Turner. Okay. So yeah, I have not talked about Anisha Morrow just yet. Once again, you guys are here for football. I'll give you my thoughts on that a little bit later. But as you guys know, I do like women's basketball better than baseball. I always have. I'm just a basketball over baseball guy. If you guys want me to talk some Anisha Morrow tonight, let me know. Okay. Jay Rogers TV, I appreciate it. I always appreciate your insights. And I'm glad you super chatted here. It seems like you have a little bit of cash there. So if you want to give out a full band, I've heard before, bands can make people dance. I'll dance for a stack right there. Or a rack. Racks on racks on racks. Jay Rogers. There you go. You want to give it to LA Mom? LA Mom, let me know. Did you? Oh, okay. Here's what we're going to do. I will give anything to LA Mom. Okay. She actually just won a huge giveaway, though. So LA Mom's one of my favorite PHLers. I talk to her quite a bit in the Discord. So I'll probably go somebody else. I think LA Mom would be fine at that. She actually won something pretty big not too long ago. And I think it was, I'd have to go look. I think it was my last Lance Hurd autograph. And as you know, there's not many Lance Hurd autographs out there. And the only one I have, I think now, is the one on my shirt right here. So I think LA Mom is fine with that. So there you go. Des and Ricks will eventually transfer to LSU 2. Good to see you tonight, Kylie. Good to see you. Let's see. Making sure I can see all my patrons in here. Jacob, let's go. Rob G, what's up? Rob G, one of my closest PHLers, and I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna ruin this surprise. Doug said, "Hey, let me end the baseball chatter here. This guy is not following." Let's see. Jake, my guy, good to see you. I appreciate all the love you've been giving me on Facebook lately, man. Thank you so much. Carvis holding it down in Orlando. Let's see here. Yeah, it's true, Tyler, and I will shout out Michaela Williams. If I interview you on PHL, I want every athlete to know this. I'm going to immediately shout out your accomplishments. You could be retired and you text me that you ate 2 burgers in one sitting. I'm going to share it on PHL. Okay. That's why I started tonight's live stream with Colin Hurley being Elite 11 finalist. Michaela Williams did actually go off in a game this weekend. So, there you go. Lots of PHLers banged up. Skipper getting over a surgery. I don't like to see that. I don't. King Alyssa's hiding in the background, copping those Jordans. I see you. Eric D thinks Trey Amos is heading to Bama. That's the school I can almost guarantee you won't be attending. Kylie, do you have sources? Do you? Let me know. Is there a reason why you don't think he would go to Bama? I'm curious. Kylie's always in the know. What was the name of the singer, Kylie? Let me see. What was her name? Kylie Minogue. What was the song that she had? I don't know. I like pop songs. I like basic pop songs. So there you have it. Eric D, an Alabama fan in here. If I was an Alabama fan, I would not be showing up in any LSU chats right now. Goodness gracious. You guys have committed every crime on the book. And it's not just players, it's not just coaches, it's staffers. Goodness gracious. And like I always say, we have our own skeletons in the closet. I get it. But if I was an LSU fan and that was happening to my program, I wouldn't be going in anybody else's chat. Goodness gracious, Eric D. I mean, are you going to have to give every athletic program you have the death penalty? I mean, goodness gracious. Next thing you know, the swimming team has started a Ponzi scheme. They started another Enron. That I would not be shocked if that came out tomorrow. So if I was an Alabama fan, I would go hibernate. I would. And the funny thing is, we have a lot of Alabama people that watch this channel. Okay. What chance did you come up with this? Parole Tide. I mean, what? I'm not even gonna go down the list because we did a thing on it during the last live stream. But I mean, God, it's honestly everything. The only thing we're missing is Ponzi scheme, right? But technically, what happened with the betting thing is kind of insider trading. So we're halfway there. We are halfway there. Okay. So there you go. But yeah, I wouldn't just be trolling. Okay. Like I said, there's no SEC program that is a safe haven. Right. And when LSU does something nefarious, you guys know I call it out. Right. And I've lost friends. I've lost sources over it. So be it. All right. You guys come here for honesty. Right. And I try my best to give it to you. Okay. So there you go. So yeah. Let's see. You going to T-Town this season? It's worth the trip. Tuscaloosa is a fine college city. It really is. Um, I've enjoyed it. And remind me, Branson, a little bit later. Probably the most impactful thing I have ever done to a friend's livelihood happened in Tuscaloosa. Wilder story. Okay. I will share it later. And I really do mean it. It is absolutely crazy. Um, and it's true. Totally true. I will not fabricate it. I will not hyperbolize it. I will tell you exactly what happened. It was crazy. And it was the weekend of November 5th, 2011. Remember the 5th of November. Okay. But I will share it later. Remind me to share it a little bit later. Rant Scat. Now, once again, if you super chat, we'll go straight to the story. And what I'll do, I think some of you want me to comment on LSU baseball. Look, Blake is a great baseball person to follow. I'll be on his show tomorrow night. Obviously, Tigers Avenue, they do a good job of it. And then Musso is a good friend of mine. But I'll give you a little bit of an outsider viewpoint. I did watch game 2 last night, and the 4th inning was just a disaster with all the tomfoolery that was happening. Okay. Does LSU have a pitching problem? Yes. Okay. I don't understand, and I've always been this way, especially in baseball. You can't blame Wes Johnson too much, right? Because these aren't his recruits. Um, and I'm always sympathetic to pitching coaches with a sport that only gives you 11.7 scholarships. Okay. I think college pitching coaching is really hard. And I'm not going to get into why I actually feel that way. Some people would disagree with that. Hey, you got to do your job. Don't make excuses. But I'll go into the theories. I've actually written about this before for Dig Magazine in Baton Rouge. I think it's still going. I've written about this for Bleacher Report and so on and so on. Now, does the baseball team have an issue? No, they dropped one series. Okay. Uh, Baseball's random. You're on the road. You're playing Auburn. They're a hungry team. They needed some wins to get into the tournament or to have a chance to get into the tournament. They played better. Okay. Now, Travinsky hitting another homer. That was pretty cool to see and all that stuff. But once again, I'm not the baseball guy. I will tell you, though, to not panic. Baseball's random. You're going to lose a series eventually. It's okay. All right. Now, does the pitching stuff worry me? Yeah, because you guys know at any level of baseball or softball, really, postseason comes down to the pitching. All right. Unless you just tear the cover off the ball, which could be very unreliable. So, I think that 4th inning was just so weird. And once again, I'm not a baseball guy. I know baseball's weird, but that was just crazy. I didn't know what was happening. And I still don't know what exactly happened. But I am a little bit more objective and honest when it comes to LSU football because I look at it from so many different angles. It's what I mostly look at. So I am a little bit more fanny when it comes to baseball and women's basketball. I'm not going to break it down as detailed as I will football. But really, when you look at the details of it, Dylan Cruz wasn't Dylan Cruz this weekend. Don't sweat it. Okay. Just don't sweat it. It's going to be okay. So yeah. And look, I think if you use the eye test, you could still see LSU baseball is one of the best. Kylie, you get to pick. You get to pick the next topic. Go right on ahead. Come on and block my actual account. I'll behave. I have I blocked your account? I don't think I've ever blocked you before, Kylie. But you get to pick the next topic. Okay. Bucci, good to see you again. Here you go. Lots of PHLers sick. So we hope you're doing better. All right. But yeah, I think baseball's a sport at any time you shouldn't panic. Football, if you have a bad game, you should panic more because every game matters so much more. Okay. Baseball is such a long season, and some team could get hot like Ole Miss and win it all. So I I I just gotta be real with you. I'm just not gonna fall off the face of the earth. But once again, I only watched game 2. I didn't watch game 1 or game 3. I did see that LSU was on pitcher number 3 very early in today's game. But if you have 3 pitchers that are hurt, once again, this is me just outside looking in. Chill, chill. Okay. Um, and I will comment on the Anisha Morrow thing. All right. This is massive. This is absolutely massive. And you're to the point now where, LSU only lost 2 games this past year in women's basketball. I would, and this is highly unlikely, but I am going to throw this out here. Um, and I've already done this on Twitter. I don't know who to call to make this happen. I am low on the totem pole when it comes to influencing anything, right? Um, but I would call Iowa right now and schedule a non-conference game, or schedule UConn or somebody like that. And I know what a lot of you are going to say. Well, look, you're just you're just going. Is your fiance's account? Oh, I am Corey Rogers. I don't know if I've ever blocked a Corey Rogers before. I'll go look. I think I remember how to go look. I had to unblock music before. So this is what I would do. Okay, as far as like scheduling Iowa, you can't always rely on the tournament, especially UConn being out there getting Paige Beckers back. I would call Iowa and say, look, let's play a neutral site game. Let's call all the big venues. United Center, I think, would be perfect. Iowa would have a massive fan advantage. It'll be in Chicago. Also, Anisha Morrow, she's from Chicago. That would be great for LSU recruiting to sink their teeth deeper into Chicago, which produces some of the best basketball players on the planet, men's and women's. Okay. So I think that would be cool. I think that there's so many cool little narratives to throw in there. And just schedule a big neutral cider, okay, and really promote it, right? Get as many celebrities as you possibly can. It's a centrally located city. Um, I'll be going there later this summer. So if I need to meet with the United Center, I don't know. I'm not going to meet on behalf of anybody, but somebody needs to make this happen. I just think that would be a great location. Iowa would have the fan advantage, so there would be no excuses. Okay. And if the refereeing is still as bad as it was in the Final Four, everybody call their own fouls. But yes, the refereeing was the worst I've ever seen. Give each player 7 fouls, so we don't have the Caitlin Clark excuse anymore. And play a neutral cider and fill it out. Do it. I wouldn't go to Iowa, though. And it has nothing to do with being scared about going to Iowa. Now, if you want to schedule a home and home, that would be crazy. But just do a neutral cider, okay? Find a location big enough to hold this game. And look, you can do LSU, Iowa as the headliner, and then the opening game obviously would be UConn and South Carolina. Okay, put the 4 biggest brains in the sport right there. Have a doubleheader. Everybody makes money. Have it in Jordan's arena. And I could see it now. Caitlin Clark and all the stars of LSU's team taking a photo in front of the Jordan statue. Okay. I was there earlier this year, not for a sporting event, for my wife to go see Harry Styles. It is a fun venue if you've never been. So I don't know. I don't know how to do that. I don't know who we have to call. I don't know. But are you kidding me? Do you know how hyped up that would be? That'd be the biggest non-conference college basketball game, men's or women's, in quite some time. You can argue. I'm not going to say ever. I don't know the history of both the sports quite like some of you might. But first game of the season. Let's go. Let's do it. So there you have it. It's not LA, Mom. I'm going to be real with you. So I've got good buddies that coach collegiately. One of my lifelong friends, I got to see him for the first time in a while this weekend. He's actually turned around in 2 years a JUCO program, and they're nationally ranked in 2 years. So I know people that know baseball way better than I ever will. And if LSU were to lose like the next series and the next series, then maybe, right? Um, and ironically, LSU, I believe, lost to Iowa in baseball earlier this year. I'm just not worried about it. I'm not. It's all going to come down to the regionals and supers anyway. So so if you don't think they're going to make a Final Four, then we got to schedule them. We got to play. Got to schedule in non-conference, right? Yeah, that was cool. That was very cool to do it for the military. There you go. Okay. So you're thinking Iowa should. So there you go. Let's say I had it posted. Do you think TREY AMOS is like Mackay? Potentially. Now, here's what we're going to do. Okay. The next super chat we get, I will unlock the TREY AMOS film study for this portion of the live stream. Okay. I'll address this though. If you knew how many times I've heard this rumor that Saban's wife, Miss Terry, who's a big reason why the LSU dynasty started, because Nick asked her, apparently, should we make this jump from Michigan State to LSU? And she said yes. But there's always rumors about Miss Terry not liking where Nick is right now, or that she wants Nick to retire. I swear. I've heard this for decades. And look, she very well might want him to retire. I don't see Saban coaching anywhere else. I don't. H-Town, good to see you. See here. Putting Eric D in timeout for a little bit. Clean up the chat. Yeah, but I mean, tournaments are weird. You're not always guaranteed to play everybody, right? Like, let's take South Carolina for instance. I would like to rematch them. So you're not always like guaranteed to play anybody. Okay. Like I think there is a piece of South Carolina that would have loved to play LSU again because obviously their home crowd advantage was so big, and a neutral sider would have proved their apparent reign over us. Okay? So, uh, but no, schedule them. Hell, I mean, you women go listen to our interview with Michaela Williams. Um, we actually talked about the Iowa game. I think scheduling the game would be huge for women's basketball too, right? Um, just because it would generate interest, right? Like it's so huge. Sport is on a rocket ship. I recorded and edited an interview with Patrick Queen. I recorded and edited an interview with TREY Jenkins, and I recorded and edited an interview with Michaela Williams. Okay, the Michaela Williams interview outperformed the other two. Okay, so a women's basketball interview over two football players who, by the way, were interviewed on a football channel. She has destroyed them, right? Now, there's a lot of different factors as to what actually works online and what doesn't. But, and let me tell you what, Patrick Queen and TREY Jenkins interviews were so nostalgic for me. We broke down film. It was from a football guy, it was huge. But I'm just telling you what the analytics showed. It just shows you where women's basketball is. Okay. And I don't do like daily women's basketball videos. People freaking love it. They freaking love it. Okay. So there you go. Yeah, I don't think it's over. I don't. But it very well could. Um she'll she'll get recruiting and get another big class. But it is interesting, like one class can have you set for years because it's not one and done. So Don Staley's class had 4 or 5 stars in it, and they were all picks in the WNBA draft. And she got to have them for 4 years, and they had the 4 years of chemistry, and they're incredible. Don's a great coach. I think it is better for LSU if Don Staley in South Carolina, and especially Tennessee. I think Ole Miss with their coach who beat who they beat? They beat Stanford this year, one of the tourney favorites. And remember, when an 8 beats a 1 in women's basketball, you're playing them on their home floor, so it's even more impressive. So I think Dawn's going to be fine. I just don't think she's Kim. She's never had a team like this. And she just had a team go undefeated. Almost go undefeated. But I freaking hope Don Staley keeps that program great because Kim and Don don't like each other. And sports are always better when the two biggest stars in the sport don't like each other. Okay. Magic, um, Bird, you guys know the stories, right? It's always better when the elites don't like each other. It's good for you. It's compelling. So, but yeah, might be. It's definitely going to be a step back for them next year. They'll lose like 5 or 6 games. It'd be like a 2 or 3 seed, but still, we'll see. So, um, once again, next super chat, we will unleash the TREY Amos film study I have set up for you guys tonight. Okay. Let's see here. All right. Let's see here. That's crazy. But something else I'll bring up really quickly about basketball, and this coming from, someone that is a football channel, okay? Basketball is such a global game. It is such a global game, right? And there's something to be said about football. So, there are some kids in my neighborhood that are that I'm mentoring, right? They figured out how to do YouTube. I had a next door neighbor, and he's like in middle school, really cool kid. And he said, "Hey, can you throw?" And he saw some of the film studies, and we're just running very simple routes. There's some other kids that are starting to become football players, and it's great. All we need is a football, run routes, and they're getting so good. But basketball is just so global. It is crazy how big the sport can still become, especially women's basketball. Like, it is just nuts. Like, I never thought in a million years that my analytics would show what, like, the women's, like, for instance, I've spent the last 15 minutes talking about women's basketball. It's not in the title of the video. Nobody's left. Nobody's left. In fact, I've gained viewers. It is wild. It is wild how it is holding an audience. So there you go. Skipper with the super chat. I really appreciate you, man. So type Y for yes, type in for no if you want me to drop the TREY AMOS film study I have together for you tonight. I'm going to drop probably the full one tomorrow night, and I'm going to drop a little extra one on Patreon that goes a little bit deeper into what he could bring to LSU. Okay, so there you go. Rodney, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. But yeah, let's do it. TREY AMOS. So it is very important to listen to the very beginning of this video, because automatically I know what you guys are going to say. All right. So let's get into it. The first thing that happens when a UL or just any non-SEC, non-Power 5 DB enters the portal, well, what about the level of competition? Can he actually hold up at LSU playing against Power 5 receivers each and every week? The good news is we actually get a matchup here versus players that are better than pretty much any SEC matchup you are going to find. Number one is Tank Dell, a wide receiver that Houston traded up to draft, and the quarterback here is Clayton Tune, who was also drafted. So this is as good, if not better, than any wide receiver quarterback matchup you are going to see next year, okay? So the first thing is Tank Dell is known for his route running. A little stutter step has obviously him not phased at all. TREY AMOS right here staying in phase with this DB, okay? So we pick it up from this other angle. One thing I like about Amos when I've watched him is he does a really good job of pinning his guy to the sideline. But Dell does a really good job hand fighting right here to get in front of the defender, okay? That's actually really good. But notice, without actually holding him, Amos is with him stride for stride. It is a tad bit of an underthrow. Tank Dell has really good ball skills. Really good job of hand fighting right here to just get a little hand right there on that right arm to get him off balance. They're never going to call that. And that caused Tank Dell actually to mistime his jump. But look at actually Amos right here. He actually timed the jump better than Dell. And look at the ball skills to get his hand right in there to where the ball is incomplete. Dell is known for his releases and getting off the line of scrimmage and making plays in the intermediary. Okay? They are running, guess what? Mesh, a play that LSU loves to run. So he's running here. This drag is running here. And even though Dell does get a little bit of a step on him, Amos is able to suck him up, pause. Okay, they're trying to pick him off right here with the mesh without actually hitting him. And yes, it does help that this hook defender has this right here. He was trying to throw this football right here. Amos is all over him. Now, is there a little hold there at the end? Yeah, they're never calling that. Let's call it like it is. So some really good coverage helped force that sack. So there you go. Max at the super chat, think we'll beat Auburn, but if they get going with Freeze recruiting and some good coaching, Auburn could be a problem, in my opinion. There you go. Now, here's what I need you guys to do. All right, before I answer this very nice super chat here from Max, type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. Would you guys want a full TREY AMOS film study tomorrow night? Okay. There's a bunch of plays I've already started cutting, but if you guys won't watch it, film studies take forever. They take forever because sometimes if there is a complicated play that is above my football acumen, got to reach out to someone that actually knows what they're talking about way more than I do. I like to think I know the game fairly well. But if I do release it tomorrow night, I'll probably release it after my spot on AYS. Let me know. I'll happily do it. I'll drop it at 6 or at 8:15. One of those two, because they take a while. Sometimes it probably takes all day to put together, to be honest. So there you go. You've been the one trying to get me to do it for a while, huh? But yeah, I think we will beat Auburn. But if they get going with Freeze recruiting and some good coaching, Auburn could be a problem. There you go. I think so. Now let's take a look at the poll question that we have lined up. This is interesting. Outside of Alabama, who is our biggest threat in the SEC West? Texas A&M is winning this poll. Very interesting. There you go. So Rodney agrees with you. Yeah, I like what Auburn's done. Now, once again, I'll say it every time I talk about Hugh Freeze. Not a fan. Okay. Him personally, not a fan. Lots of weird stuff. Once again, like I said earlier, everybody's got their baggage. Okay. Everybody. LSU coaches, Auburn coaches, everybody does. The Hugh Freeze stuff is just crazy. Okay. So that aside, he can coach. He can build staffs. He can make quarterbacks look a lot better, right? I don't remember a rookie quarterback with hype who has looked worse as a rookie NFL quarterback than Malik Willis. Now, once again, I don't think the Titans did a great job, surrounding him with the tools, but man, he looked bad. So that shows me that Hugh Freeze can still coach. Go look at the yard per play numbers when he was at Ole Miss, right? Now, he had good players. Ole Miss had a good run on really good offensive players during his era, but he can coach. He's beaten Alabama, and he knows how to run a program. He's a very innovative guy. Morals aside, I've got to, hammer that home. Yeah, OCDC, they still got Cadillac there, who now has some coaching experience as, program runner as an interim. I mean, Auburn's got it going, right? They get Payton Thorne here, who's got some juice. Payton can play. Obviously, a little bit more of a stiff pocket passer, if you will. So I think for me, Auburn is a team to worry about. Okay. Now, it is a little weird that we did not play well at all, and they played one of their better offensive games last year, and we beat them last year. So we played our worst, and they played some of their best football last year, and we still won the game thanks to Ojulari, Perk, and Greg Brooks. But yeah, I mean, Auburn's offense is going to get better. The offensive schemes will make Auburn's offensive line be better than what they were last year. They do return Jarquez Hunter. They do lose Tank Bigsby, but I mean, they've still got the pieces, I think, to hold up. Now, defensively, they do lose Hall, really good end, but obviously for the future, not just for this year, but the next year, Auburn's got some juice. They do. I think that they've done a really good job of positioning themselves to be different than Alabama. They have a defensive head coach. You have an offensive head coach. They have a coach who has beaten the other guy, and obviously beating Alabama is a huge thing for Auburn. So, yeah, I agree with you, Max. They could be very tough. Now, it's going to be a little weird moving forward, Max. Our relationship with Auburn. Okay, it is going to be, and I do agree with this, Forbes. Our relationship with Auburn is it's going to be a little bit different over the next couple of years because they are not going to be one of our permanent teams. They're just not. Whether it's a 1-7 or a 3-6 scheduling format. And I could break what that means down if you guys want me to. I think a lot of you know what that means. Uh, so yeah, I mean, Auburn's not going to be on our conscience as much as they have been, especially considering we have played the absolute weirdest games versus them. And that is really saying something. But yeah, we never play our best versus them. Even the best team of all time that we've ever had did not play their best against them. It's going to be weird not seeing them on our schedule. But as far as their SEC pedigree moving forward, looks pretty good. And I got to be honest, there are a lot of Auburn fans who do not like me because one of my Brian Harsin videos got a hold of Auburn fan bases. And it turned out to be everything that I said turned out to be exactly right. He was the first coach fired. I said that before the season began. I said hammer the Auburn under win total. That cleared easily. And they had a lot of home games at the beginning of the year. Now, I will defend Brian Harsin to a certain degree. It did not help that Auburn had the most brutal schedule in the SEC both of the seasons he was there, right? Scheduling the home and home with Penn State, that's bold. That's very bold. Now, it's good for us, the consumer. It's good for us, a college football fan, but I would never do that if I got to play Georgia and Alabama every year. You're telling me I got to play a home and home with another top 15 recruiter that's got dudes that they recruit better than us. So what that essentially did for Harsin, who's I don't think is that great of a coach, but that made it where you had 4 teams that actually 5 teams on your schedule that recruit better than you. Okay. So I think Harsin was going to fail no matter what, but he got dealt a crappy hand, and they should have never fired Gus. I think Gus can really coach. Now that'll get you guys going crazy, but I think Gus has got juice. I do. So yeah, their sound system is deafening. I've been there twice, and that was over a decade ago. They get so loud in there, Jordan here. So should we do that? Oh man, iconic. I mean, that is just so crazy. I honestly think that game was Leonard Fournette's athletic peak, right? Uh, I mean, it truly was crazy. That was the absolute peak Leonard Fournette. And God, it was good to watch. Ah. Oh man. Gus had no juice on offense other than gadget plays. Really? Yes, he scored 40 plus on you with Bo Nix at quarterback, true freshman Bo Nix at quarterback, but he had no juice on offense. Eric, that's probably the most ridiculous thing um, I've heard you say tonight, and that is quite literally saying something. And for that, I'm just gonna block him. I'm tired of him anyway. I can't believe the one comment I blocked him was me defending an Auburn coach. Gus Malzahn's a really good coach. I don't understand why that's controversial. I don't get that at all. Julie super chats a question here. So Julie, if you can type it in the chat, I'm actually going to put your wonderful super chat question up on the screen. I still got my little candy jar that Julie made me and sent to me. I really appreciate it. Haley still has it in there. Does KJ have any good targets, weapons to throw to that will make Arkansas a real threat to us this year? Okay. So, yeah, it's Julie, if you can just type this exact comment right there because I want to put your face on the screen. I really appreciate the Venmos. The cool thing about Venmos and Cash Apps, I get 100% of those, so that helps out so big. And I get the money instantly. So when you super chat, I gotta wait quite a bit for the money. But I really appreciate it. I never complain either way. Okay. Um, there you go. Now, does KJ Jefferson have weapons? Not really. Not really. Nothing that I would be fearful of if I were LSU. He had good ones last year. Now, Arkansas's running back Rocket Sanders can really play. I think he's very good. I don't think he's special though. I don't think he's special. Um, he's more Rakeem Boyd than he is Darren McFadden. Okay, so here is LA Mom's uh, super chat. Now, one thing that is very interesting that I find to be wonderful, and if you guys want to know a little bit about my stand-up comedy, uh, I love really good bits made by really good comedians. And Gary Goldman has a great piece on state abbreviations. They have always fascinated me. I don't know why. State abbreviations have always fascinated me. Like Louisiana. Why isn't Louisiana LO? But no, it's LA, right? So Arkansas state abbreviation is AR. But everybody, I swear everyone puts AK, which is Alaska. I don't know who made state abbreviations, but you would think Arkansas would be AK, right? Because normally state abbreviations isn't the first two letters, right? But Arkansas, for some reason, is AR instead of AK, even though everybody calls Arkansas AK. I love that. I've always found that to be so fascinating. Like, I love it. I flat out love it. But yeah, AK is actually Alaska. No. Alabama, I swear, everybody does it. Everybody does it. Okay. So Alaska is AK, right? So Arkansas is AR. But you would think Arkansas is AK because it's not always the first two letters. It's so interesting. But yeah, Gary Goldman's bit on state abbreviations. And I'm not actually like like a huge Goldman fan, but that bit was so freaking great. I love it. I love it. This is why I love LA Mom. Uh, who's gonna be better next year, Lacey or Anderson? So Bruce, what I'm gonna do while I'm answering LA Mom's super chat right here, we're actually going to put LA Mom's question or we're gonna put your question, Bruce, as a poll question here, and I'm gonna answer LA Mom's question about the Arkansas Razorbacks this year. Do these. Okay, Bruce's poll question is up. So, so there you go. They don't. So they got a JUCO transfer who's got some of the most ridiculous catches on his reel. His name is Isaac Tesla or something like that. Kind of a bigger, bulkier receiver. And they also got a receiver from Texas A&M Commerce who's got some talent. And they've got some other players, but they lost Matt Landers, who is a really good receiver. He was the one that caught the touchdown versus us last year, and he was a burner. He could really play, and he was a year 5 guy. So they lose him. Their best tight end transferred to South Carolina, and they just lost a lot of key skill guys. They've got some young tight ends. They just got and Bruce actually brought this young man's name up. Varquise Gums. Just did a video on him on Power Hour SEC. You guys are gonna love this. Okay. So Varquise Gums, all right. He committed to Arkansas from North Texas. Okay. Then he decommitted from Arkansas 2 hours after I posted a video on Power Hour SEC. Just for him to recommit to Arkansas yesterday. So he decommitted from Arkansas for 4 days, went and visited Cal, and then I would have loved him at LSU. We need another tight end. But he then recommits to Arkansas. And I believe the young man is originally from New Orleans, or his family has ties to New Orleans or something like that. So I think he could play, and I think he's going to be a really good SEC tight end for them. But their weapons aren't as good as they're going to be last year. They lost Hazelwood, who was a former 5-star, who was decent. They have a good running back. They have a good, deep running back room. But the bottom line, LA Mom, is exactly what you typed here. KJ Jefferson is a dude, okay? And because he takes a lot of hits, he can get banged up and hurt later in the year. The thing that kind of sucks about playing KJ this year is we play him in week 4 instead of playing him in November. So remember, Arkansas and Florida have shifted on the schedule. Okay. So we are going to get healthy KJ Jefferson. And Arkansas, I think next year I'm fading them a little bit. They have the weirdest schedule I think I've ever seen. They have 4 consecutive road games. Okay. One's a neutral sider, but they play 4 road games in the middle of the year, and we're the first one. Okay. So we're going to play a healthy KJ Jefferson. We're very lucky he was hurt last year because our offense wasn't clicking, obviously. And them having a backup helped our defensive dominance. But we still have Harold Perkins, and we still should be able to beat Arkansas next year. And one more thing, defensively, they are still trash. Now, they got a new defensive coordinator, T. Will, coming over from UCF, who used to work under Gus Malzahn. And will they be better defensively? I don't know. I will tell you this. They got a 5-star corner from Georgia transferred over. And keep in mind, Arkansas's 2 most productive defensive players coming back from last year's team, Dwight McGlothern and Landon Jackson. former LSU players. It's kind of weird how that works, right? But I still think their defense is in for a shellacking. They've done a good job. They've gotten some good guys in from the portal, but I don't think they're deep enough. But as of right now, Arkansas is the number 1 rated transfer portal team in the SEC, according to On3. I disagree with that. I think our portal class is better. I think Ole Miss's portal class is better. I also low-key like Florida's portal class this year, but Arkansas has a really good portal class, so got to keep an eye out for that. Okay. So let's do this. Let's take a look at the poll question here really quickly. Thank you so much, Ellie Mom. I really appreciate your super chat. And as you guys know, I'm a KJ Jefferson fanboy. He is the only quarterback in the SEC I'm taking over Jaden. The only one. Better season for Bruce. Kyron Lacey or Aaron Anderson? Kyron Lacey currently winning this poll. So let's actually see this in the chat right here. Type L for Lacey, type A for Anderson in the chat. Who will have the better season next year? Type L for Lacey, type A for Anderson. Anderson. What movie is that from? Anderson. What movie? What movie? Anderson? What movie? What movie? What movie? Fulfill the prophecy. Some Lawrence Fishburne fan is out there. Y'all like Golden Boot beat you? Y'all let Pooh Bear beat you on this? Y'all let Pooh Bear beat you on this? Oh, man. Mr. Anderson. God bless. I was low-key so sad a few years ago that it was reported that the lady, she wasn't the architect of the Matrix. She was, the lady, the mythical lady that Anderson met. She passed away a few years ago. I was like, God, her acting in that scene was so good. So freaking good. Now, I will say this. Before you guys think that I'm a Keanu Reeves fanboy, I have not seen any of the John Wicks, okay? Those are my dad's favorite movies. I have not seen any of the John Wicks, okay? I'm telling you, Pooh Bear can get deep in his bag here with the nerd stuff. Huh? The Oracle, thank you. The Oracle. I'm pretty sure she died a few years ago. So sad. Oh, man. I love it. So, to answer Bruce's super chat, I'm going to go with Kyron Lacey. I will. Okay? Now, a few reasons. LSU loves Kyron Lacey. They just do. Everyone I speak to, they just love him. Okay? Now, just because you like somebody doesn't mean they are the best player, but they like him. They mic'd him up at practice. They have promoted him heavily. They gave him a single-digit number right when he got to LSU. Okay? We talked about this in the private Discord. Ironically, I think it was Ellie Mom who actually brought it up there. The single-digit number thing is a thing. Everybody wants a lower-digit number. Everybody. Okay? Including Lance Hurd. Go back and listen to our interview. Okay? So, the truth here is Kyron Lacey is going to have a really good opportunity to prove himself. Okay? And when I mean really good opportunity, I mean really good opportunity. Okay? So, I'm going to go with Kyron. I like Aaron Anderson. I don't want that to be seen as anti-Aaron Anderson. We've not seen him play healthy football just yet. Now, what I will say is if you do go back and look at the Alabama spring game, right, which was the last time we saw him semi-healthy a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, I could totally be wrong on this. He looked okay. Looked pretty good. Okay. So it should be very interesting to see what Aaron Anderson does this next year. Like Kyron Lacey, they gave him a single-digit number. They gave him the most important single-digit number. They gave him number 1. Okay. At LSU, if you were number 1, or at any school, if you were number 1, you're the dude. You're the dude. Okay. So, we'll see. We'll see. I think I'm going to go with Kyron Lacey here, though. I'm going to go Kyron. Now, notice Bruce's question says, who has the better season? Okay. Bruce's question does not necessarily mean who has the better season at wide receiver. So, Aaron Anderson is going to be the return guy, more than likely. Okay. So, if he's going to be the return guy, that adds a little bit of intrigue here. Okay. So, it's interesting. Now, I know a lot of you have brought up Keon Coleman's name. I've chosen not to bring him up until an hour after. I hope he commits to LSU. I do. I don't think it's happening. Now, what you hope for at this point, okay, I think Keon's really good. I think he becomes the second best receiver on our team. And you guys know how much I love BTJ. All right. I don't think he's coming to LSU. I don't. I hope I'm wrong on this. I really do. I do think at this point, though, there should be a piece of you that hopes he doesn't go to one of our opponents. Okay. He visited Florida State. Very interesting. Okay. Spoke to a Florida State source. Said the visit went great. Okay. Now, most visits go great. I would love for him to come to LSU, though. I think he's very good. I do. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, why didn't we recruit him right out the jump? Number one, that's not on Brian Kelly. And number two, it would have been hard because there were so many good wide receivers in Louisiana that year. Chris Hilton, Jack Besh, Brian Thomas Jr. were all in that class. Oh, yeah. That Malik Neighbors guy was a lucky ad when JoJo Earl decommitted. Okay? So, don't think any more or less of Keon Coleman, no matter where he goes. I can understand having a grudge against LSU. I get it. Okay? It's part of what probably fueled him to be great. It's going to be very hard, though. Number one, the situation is kind of strange with all the talent that we have at wide receiver. And yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I do want to share this, though. Okay, I've shared the Florida State thing. Okay. Don't be shocked if he's a Seminole. Don't be shocked. I would cross my fingers hoping that he doesn't go there. Because him, Jordan Travis, and the Wilson guy would be lethal. And it would be very hard to stop him. And part of what slowed down what Jordan Travis did to us last year were his receivers dropping passes. Okay? So, look, I don't fear Florida State. That's not what I'm saying at all. And we got to beat them no matter what. Football is a weird game. They could light us up and we still win because Jaden and those guys are going to be ready to go. We're actually going to have an offensive line that is playable for this game. But just be ready. Okay. Just be ready. Um, I'm not going to just say that it's 1,000% certain that he's going to pick Florida State. But I I'd be ready for it. Okay? Which is why TREY AMOS becomes more important for us to go get. Okay? That's where I'd go to. Huh? 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 Or USC. There you go. Hey, welcome to the channel, everybody. Welcome, Shay. It's so interesting. Let's see here. I do agree. They do have more wiggle room. Let's see. Rodney holding it down. Rodney, I really appreciate all your love for PHL. Thomas, this is so funny. I love when people don't comment, but when I bring up like a movie trivia kind of thing, they comment or a food take, right? Now, let's see. Once again, if we get to $100 in super chats, we are $70 away. We're going to give out an autograph card, but I do want to give out a Joey B card tonight. And I want to give this out to someone. Let me think about it for a little bit. I'm going to give this out to someone that's been in our chat consistently. I know the off season could be long and hard. Pause. But we are going to give this out. I'm going to be thinking about someone that's been lighting up the chat. Okay. Let's see here. Now, something else I want to address here. Okay. I do find this interesting. When I look at LSU as a whole, all right, and I get asked quite a bit about position coaches. Okay. Obviously, Jimmy Lindsey, it's been, over a week here, 8 days to be exact, that he has been hired by LSU. Okay. We'll see what happens with Colin Simmons' recruitment. That might not even be Jimmy Lindsey's primary. That might be a little bit more Jancic's recruitment. But whatever the case may be, I do begin to think the more I learn about the ins and outs of LSU football and just college football as a whole, position coaches matter so much when it comes to recruiting, but so much work is done by the staffers that a lot of you haven't heard probably a lot about. Jordan Arseman is the name of one of them. J.R. Belton is a guy who runs quite a bit of the recruiting at LSU. And Sherman Wilson is very talented. He came over from, he won a Super Bowl with the Rams, and he's been with LSU for a few years now. Okay. They've been tweeting out a lot of good stuff lately. Sherman Wilson tweeted out a photo of Mariano Rivera. Okay. So what does that represent? Closer. That's what recruiting is closing deals. All right. It's getting the deal done, getting them to commit or sign on the dotted line, more importantly. Okay. It's ruthless. And it gets more difficult during the season because the early signing period, you guys hear me moan about this all the time. The signing period happens during the season. Okay. The most critical recruiting that happens in November and December is when you're playing the most important games, especially if you're like us playing for the whole SEC, right? So I wanted to just share that. Those guys get paid fairly well to do their jobs, and it's very competitive. Everybody wants them, but they've done a really good job at LSU. They really have. So, I just wanted to shout them out. Okay. Or just asking about it. Huh? I love it. And Jordan Archman's tweets give me life. Okay. Let's see. Now, see what else did I want to get to tonight? I talked baseball. I've talked women's basketball. I did see that point guard picked Clemson over LSU. The kid, Gerard kid from Syracuse. And if I talk about men's basketball, I know I'll lose viewers, but I hated it so much. They needed another guard, but I need as much help as they can get. The kid from Vandy, I love him. He is old school. Jordan Wright, I love it. There's nothing more I love in the world than below the rim players. Nothing. Abso-freaking-lutely nothing. Okay? So there you have it. I think Skipper went to bed. He is our PHL softball analyst. They beat Georgia today. Apparently, they run ruled them. Wait, what explains my love for the Joker? Thank you, Danny. So it was a doubleheader today. Reedus, yeah, he's a cool guy. Let's go to Cliff's question here. The Prez of PHL. Will any of the freshman running backs make an impact on this season? Yeah, let's go with Caleb Jackson and Trey Holly. They'll both get a chance to play this year. Oh, below the rim basketball players. I do love the Joker. I pushed it off. I've always said I'm not a big Jokic fan. Apparently he pushed an owner. And the owner flopped. That is so crazy. That's so funny. Oh man. Like I'll pull it up really quickly. Type pull this up. Type K for Caleb. Type T for Trey Holly. Who has the better season this year? Okay. I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know. Huh? I am curious. Curious. Oh, juicy. I got to see this. Huh? 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 This is so funny. Oh my god. One of y'all just. Oh man. Let's see. Oh man. So that's the new owner for the Suns. He played basketball at Michigan State. Bought the team for $4 billion. Look at that. And he flopped. Look at this. That is so funny. Oh man. That is so good. You know, T, what's up? Skipper, good to see you. Dang, Trey Holly has dominated this poll. I mean, it's hard to say because neither of them played a down of actual football just yet. Thank you, Danny girl. I love it. What I want, Danny girl, is for you to super chat during an Emily D. Baker stream, and I want to see her reaction to your profile here. My wife would go absolutely crazy because she is the biggest Emily D. Baker fan on the planet. I love it. The Chicklikin. That is so funny. Dang, Trey Holly just dominated this poll. Let's update Bruce to Super Chat. Bruce, let me know if you're still here. Kyron Lacey dominating this poll versus Aaron Anderson. Everett, this is your chance. Drop a Super Chat, baby. Let's see it. If you cash a ticket, share some of that with your favorite YouTuber, man. Or it might be your second or third favorite. I don't know. I would like to think I'm top 5. And I'm doing a film study for you tomorrow. She's just a different YouTuber. Okay? Please don't cursing in the chat. I don't mind cursing, but you want to make this PG-13. Believe it or not, some people do watch with their families. Okay. Now I learned something recently that people like to watch on TVs now, right? We brought this up before, but people love watching YouTube on the big screen, right? Which is kind of crazy. My head on your screen. Now I get a phone because or like a computer or an iPad. Now, Skipper, most people don't know who that is. It's a very niche thing. It's like lawyer talk. She's got 700K subscribers, so she's a pretty big deal. But still, it's not like someone that everybody would know. It's true, Chance. Now, I think I have in mind who I want to give this Burrow card to. Okay? It's a guy who's been in the chat for quite some time. He's been a big supporter of PHL. Now I don't know if I'm his favorite LSU YouTuber. I know he likes a ton of the other LSU YouTubers. Okay. But this Joe Burrow card, I think it is well deserved. I think he's fair to everyone. He treats everybody in here with a ton of respect. Okay. I am going to go with Doug Knows as a winner of the Joe Burrow card for 9,000 subscribers. I think a lot of you would agree. Doug doesn't ask for much. He's very generous with this time. He's in a good chunk of pretty much all our live streams. And he always treats people with respect in here. Doesn't talk down on anybody. Doesn't get in. And it's okay if you guys get in arguments with each other. It's fine. As long as it's semi-civil. Okay? I feel like Doug deserves this. Okay? So I'm going to go with Doug Knows today. Now, if anybody objects to that and says, hey, Doug is awful, I deserve the card. So this one's going to Doug. All right. The Matrix and the Oracle, right? But I think Doug deserves it. This is one of my favorite Burrows too. It's not the most expensive Burrow, but I just love the simple, iconic rated rookie design right here. So there you go. Now, look at that. I didn't ask for that. You deserve it though. Tell the family I said hello. All right, so Joshua objects. He says he deserves the card. Joshua's a good guy. I know he's kidding. Joshua, I'm gonna hook you up at some point with something cool. So Jacob and Joshua are actually big card people now. I think I influenced them on that decision. So they're in a rabbit hole for card collecting anyway. I got to be honest though. I actually had an oversight on like my nicest Jarvis Landry card. It wasn't my favorite. I have a few other Jarvises that I like a little bit more, but the Jarvis Landry card I sent to Jacob is actually tough to get. Once I sent it and actually did more research, I was like, oh my God, why did I send him that one? And I was happy I sent it to him, but I was like, it is harder to get that card. So I got to work on get my Jarvis collection back up. Do you watch on TV? And yes, we actually started the live stream shouting out Colin Hurley. Okay. I actually I want to talk a little bit about this, if this is okay. About the Elite 11. Now, ironically, I was able to speak briefly to Colin earlier this evening. I know his DMs blew up. But yeah, very lucky to have a good, solid relationship with Colin. He's obviously been on the channel before. He's a great guy. All right. He's an Elite 11 finalist. Now, I actually went through and for like 30 minutes before this live stream began, I went through and I actually looked at a few different Elite 11 finalists over the years. Okay. And the one thing I'll keep bringing up about quarterbacks, I am very interested to see if quarterback evaluation gets better. Okay. I do feel that all positions evaluations have gotten better. Now, this could be a very small sample size. All right. So forgive me if I'm wrong. But this year, when it comes to first round draft picks, 247 and on 3. And on 3 wasn't really evaluating. So it was 247 and rivals. They have never done a better job of prospect evaluation than what they did in this last draft class. They were unreal at predicting who the best players were. Okay. And that honestly includes some guys that busted on their own accord, right? Like Kayshawn, for instance, was a 5-star 2 years ago. He only fell out of the first round because a lot on his own doing. Now, some of that was just injury, but they were right. And Kayshawn was obviously a 5-star recruit and a 5-star level player and could make Pro Bowls if everything were to align properly. Raheem Jarrett is another one of those guys that they got right, who was a first rounder for a long time. Eli Ricks, same thing. So we got a little unlucky in that some of these 5-stars didn't pan out for us in the grand scheme, right? But 247 and On3 and all these recruiting services were ridiculous this year. That now they get it right a lot of the times. What is it? Over 50% of 5-stars get selected in NFL drafts normally. So this year, though, they were just ridiculous. Okay. And if you stretch it out to like the top 75, top 100, they were even better. They were even better. It's like Quentin Johnson was a top 100 guy. B.J. Ojolari was a top 100 guy. And so on and so on. So even the people that were C.J. Stroud, even those people that were barely outside like the 5-star ranking. So I'm wondering if this is a trend, right? If they're going to be this unbelievably accurate. I do think it's a little bit of noise. I do think historically they'll still be very good, but they may not be as pinpoint to a T. Now there were still some guys that weren't highly rated that were first round picks. Witherspoon, the corner out of Illinois, being one of those guys. But still, or Dalton Kincaid or anybody, they were mostly right. They got it mostly right. Now, I say that because if that is the case, let's say Elite 11 becomes more accurate when it comes to picking who the finalists are and who the people that actually win the Elite 11. What if they get better? And they might. One really good thing about Colin Hurley, though, okay, is I did look historically at Elite 11 finalists. And even though Marcus Mariota was a 3-star and Johnny Manziel was a 3-star, a lot of these 3-star quarterbacks have turned out to be like great and they won Heisman's and all of that. They were Elite 11 finalists. Okay. So the good news is, yes, Colin Hurley doesn't have the highest recruiting ranking. He's like a not top 100 4-star, which is still really good, right? Joe Burrow was a not top 100 4-star. Jalen Hurts was also a not top 100 4-star. One of Colin Hurley's really good friends, Anthony Richardson, I believe was not a top 100 4-star. I think this is good, right? Now, I went through, and something else I decided to do was really quickly, anecdotally here. How good were the camp counselors at picking the right people to go to the Elite 11 finals? And the results were very mixed. I mean, it was very mixed. There were some years where, so for those that don't know, the way the Elite 11 works is, and some of you might not even know what Elite 11 is. You probably already Google, what the heck is he talking about? So every year there is a group of quarterbacks called the Elite 11. Okay. And what you do is you camp regionally all throughout the country to get invited to what's called the Elite 11 finals. So normally that is a group of anywhere from 15 to 30. 30 is kind of high, but it's normally 15 to 25 quarterbacks that go to compete for the Elite 11. And they pick 11 quarterbacks plus one more who is crowned the MVP. So if you're an Elite 11, that means in their minds, Trent Dilfer and all these camp counselors, they think these are the 12 best quarterbacks in the country. Okay. So it's different from rivals. It's different from 247. It's who camps the best. Okay. Now, There were some years where they just got it wrong, where they picked the right finalists, but they did not pick the right 12. Okay. Now, there are also some years where you can go out there, like here's a good example. A few years ago, this turned out to be a very legendary thing. It was clear at the Elite 11, according to everybody that was there, that CJ Stroud and Bryce Young were by far the two best quarterbacks there. And that turned out to be true in the grand schemes, right? Yes, they went to the best programs. Yes, they had the best coaches and all of that, or two of the best coaches. It did turn out, though, that they were clearly the two best quarterbacks, and they've clearly been the two best quarterbacks over the past 2 years, right? And they were the two best quarterbacks at Elite 11. Okay. Maybe it is. Maybe quarterback evaluation does get better. Okay. Now, what I will tell you is, and I might turn out to be totally wrong about this, but that I do have receipts on this. Okay. For this last class, the Nico kid that went to Tennessee, and this was before he was committed to Tennessee and all of that, just based on my very novice film analysis and what I've heard in the camps and what I saw, like just limited clips from camps and all of that, I thought Nico was the best. I did. Now, Arch Manning turned out to be the highest rated. Malachi Nelson, Dante Moore. There's a lot. Hell, it could be Ricky Collins be the best. But I still think Nico's going to be the best. I do. And, he wasn't viewed as the best, but he was viewed as one of the 5 best. But yeah, quarterbacking is so weird. There's so many different factors. I actually went through and looked at some old quarterbacks, Elite 11 clips, and they look bad. Like, I was like, I could see why that they weren't selected. So could it be that maybe it's not necessarily that the quarterbacks being evaluated, maybe they are picking the best quarterbacks at that time, but maybe that has just no bearing on how those players actually turn out to be. Okay? So it's very interesting. So hopefully I answered your question, John. I mentioned it briefly because anytime a former PHL guest has something really big happen to them or her, I want to shout them out. So there you go. Okay. There you go. Drew Brees rookie cards. That guy was kind of good. There you go. Oh, so you like the lives. That's good. Oh, we got some Chris Winkie love in here. Man, a Chris Winkie rookie card. It's funny, no 850. There's actually a big time Florida State card collector. He's younger. I think his name is Pensacola Packbuster. He's actually got some Jamars he's trying to sell me, and I don't have Jamar money right now. But I do not have any Florida State cards. Actually, I do have a Jameis Winston card back here. Won't comment on that one. But yeah, it's wild. Absolutely wild. No, I don't think that they were off. I think Miles was fine. Manning will transfer. He won't be out in the league. Once again, Miles Brennan. Some injury luck and a bad flip flop. You never know. CK, good to see you. I see you changed your name, man. Yeah, Joshua, I don't have a whole lot of big time cards. I really don't. Like, I definitely don't. I don't think I have any, like, I don't have any 4-figure cards. Let's see. Now, coming up in just a second. All right. I do have something I want to share with you. One Elite 11 story that I want to share. Okay. But first, I really want you guys to think about this. Okay. You want to find out ways to support PHL? Okay. Check this out. Let's go. If you love Power Hour content, you will love Underdog Fantasy, baby. Sign up right now, promo code Carter, for that delicious bonus, baby. And you, I'm looking at you right now, can take advantage of something called Best Ball Fantasy Football. Bam! I'm looking at you. Look. Z is the actual logo of Underdog Fantasy. So if you have a dog, family, like, hey, or whatever, Best Ball Fantasy is the best thing for you. We'll get to this in just a second, but this lineup is a draft that I recently did, and basically you don't set your lineups ever. They set it for you. So if Matthew Stafford outscored Josh Allen for a week, guess what? Matthew Stafford's score would count. So this draft was only $3, and first place in a $50,000 prize pool gets $10,000. You can't really beat it for people that live busy lives like me and you. UnderdogFantasy.com. Let's go. It is indeed very fun. I'm actually doing a few drafts right now, and it's wonderful. Now, Underdog is yet to be perfectly legalized in the state of Louisiana, but that doesn't mean you can't play. You just can't be in the state of Louisiana when you draft. Underdog Fantasy, UnderdogFantasy.com. CK, I believe you're in Texas, so go sign up, UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code Carter. The only way your boy gets some cheddar is if you type that promo code in. Carter, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think Caden Durham, that's the young man whose name gets brought up quite a bit. He could really play, and he can roll. Now, obviously, his commitment would be huge because there's a few other Duncanville prospects that LSU is really after, one of which is, I believe, a safety whose name slips my mind. I know Chance knows it off the top of his head. But obviously, Colin Simmons is going to be absolutely huge. And at this point, I haven't been able to look at all the 2024s. I will say it's a little bit more difficult for me to look at 2024 prospects right now, simply because, well, the transfer portal, right? So, like, you guys have been asking me to do more TREY AMOS kind of film studies where there's guys in the portal that could help us out immediately. I'm starting to do that more than actually just looking at other high school talent. So I've not really watched Caden Durham a whole lot. I have watched Colin Simmons simply because I know how big of a priority he is on LSU's personal board. I feel pretty confident saying that they have him as their number one player. And I agree. I think he's the number one player in this class. Okay. There you go. Let's go to Bruce, a super chatter from earlier. Jaden is runner-up in the Heisen, and LSU is in the playoff. Okay. I think the first prediction is a little bit more bolder, and yes, Dotson, I believe is his name. Jaden is the runner-up in the Heisen Trophy. I think LSU being in the playoff, I think a lot of people are going to predict LSU to get into the playoff. Jaden is runner-up to who? I think that is key. Bruce, I will say this. One thing that Jaden does have in his favor is I don't think voters are going to want to give Caleb Williams back-to-back trophies. Okay? And I think it's a little bit of the Jokic thing, right? I don't think I don't think Caleb Williams. I don't think voters are going to want to make Caleb Williams the only two-time Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. I just don't. Um, so I think there will be a little bit of a push to make sure Caleb Williams is not the guy. So I do think there would be some voters, even though Jaden is more than likely not going to put up the numbers that Caleb Williams puts up. I could see Jaden, who's from California, by the way. I could see Jaden winning over Caleb Williams if their resumes are close. That's a big if, though. Caleb Williams is really freaking good. But I think at this point, I would say Harold Perkins has a better shot at winning the Heisman than Jaden, because I do feel that the college football media has gotten smarter, and they start to realize that, hey, the Heisman Trophy does not say who the most valuable player is. That is not the point of the Heisman Trophy. It is who is the most outstanding player. And they have gotten this wrong. Two very bold instances. Tyrann Mathieu and Ndamukong Suh. They were the most outstanding players the years that the Heisman were given out, but they weren't offensive players. Okay? So I do think Harold Perkins has a better shot at winning the Heisman. I really do. I'm not just saying that just to say it. Perk's a star. He's got the aura, right? He's got the nickname. He's got the playmaking ability. And let's be honest, that Alabama performance was incredible. Okay, the Arkansas performance was good as well, but that was an 11 a.m. game. It wasn't nearly as high profile a game as the Alabama game. And I think Perk's had a better shot. LSU in the playoff, I agree with you. I think they're there. Hell yeah. Dude, the media is saying LSU women's basketball is bringing in these transfers so they can beat Caitlin Clark. Which media has said that? I think overall they've gotten smarter, especially when it comes to Heisman Trophy voting, and that's what the context of what I was saying. There have been multiple national media members who have come around on the idea that the Heisman Trophy is not to be given just to an offensive player. Okay, but you hear it more, right? And I think if Tyrann Mathieu had the season he had now, and the media had a better understanding that the Heisman isn't to be given to the most valuable player, then they would know that defensive players should be nominated as well. Okay. So, I've not seen a single media member say LSU's bringing in all these transfers to beat Caitlin Clark. I've not. Now, I've seen a lot of Iowa fans say that, which is partially true. We've already beaten Caitlin Clark with the team that we had, which is a really good team. But you bring in as many elite recruits to beat the best teams out there, right? That's partially why you bring in as many 5 stars as you can. Yeah, I do think quite a bit of the sports media has gotten smarter. I think so. Okay. I know Cole. I used to do a lot of stuff with Cole. Angel Reese is definitely the biggest star on campus. Definitely. Um, and Flaujae's definitely number two. Um, and probably um, Livy's number three, probably. But Jaden and Perker are huge stars too. And Will Campbell. It's the only year, Rodney. And honestly, a lot of that was punt returns and Darren Woodson playing for Michigan, right? Um, Michigan obviously being Michigan and Tennessee being Tennessee, right? Doug, those are fighting words, man. I agree. I'm a Peyton Homer, right? Um, but yeah, Woodson doing the punt return and doing the Heisen pose, it doesn't get much bigger than that, right? I mean, that was such an iconic moment, right? But they both ended up going to Canton and living happily ever after. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's part of it. You know, you're trying to get the most clicks and attention. But I mean, that's honestly most media, like that's the point of it, to get the attention. Like, I don't not everything is going to be like Wright Thompson Pulitzer Prize winning journalism, Sarah Ganem or anything like that. Uh but yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of that. There is. Now, what we're gonna do. Okay. Still about 60 or so away from giving out an autograph card tonight. Want to get to 100 before giving out an auto. We've already given out this one to Doug Nose tonight. But here's what we're going to do. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. But if you super chat, we'll keep this thing going all night. Okay? Now, there's plenty of different ways to support PHL. Getting an underdog fantasy draft obviously goes a long way. Type in that promo code Carter. It is absolutely massive. Um, but yes, shop with Power Hour LSU, powerhourlsu.com/shop. Okay. Goes a long way. I think Josh and I are on at the same time. But yeah, that, I think at this point, I think every national media member is going to. I'll say this, Ellie Mom. If you're a national media member and you don't have Harold Perkins as one of your top 10 linebackers, then they need to rethink a lot. Huh? 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 Uh, there you go. To be honest, I watch more YouTube for content like you provide than anything. Social media in general is so toxic that it's not worth it. Live life and watch Card of the Power and like. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I've posted content on Facebook. I might not ever get anything going on Facebook. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm Facebook material. I guess the way you can grow on Facebook is if you guys are in Facebook groups, and I know my guy Richard Manning has been doing a lot of this. But if you're in Facebook groups, I know there's a bunch of big LSU Facebook groups. Just share the live stream in the Facebook group, okay? But I don't know. I've never been good on Facebook. I've never been good on Meta. I think is the correct term, Meta. I struggle with Instagram, which is Meta. I struggle with WhatsApp, which is Meta. I struggle with Facebook, which is Meta. Okay. Now maybe Mark Zuckerberg just hates me. Okay. I do have a good relationship. Actually, I've not talked to this person in years, to be honest. I do know someone that was in the social network. Okay. But maybe Zuckerberg doesn't like me for my friendship with this person. But, and it's not Justin Timberlake, but I wish so. I like JT's music. Let's go, Jared. I appreciate the super chat. All right, so Branson held up his end of the bargain. He wants to hear the Tuscaloosa story. So, Jared, any question you want to bring up, feel free. We'll go straight to it. So, true story. We go to Tuscaloosa for the big game that weekend. All right. LSU versus Alabama. November 5th, 2011. Okay. We go there on November 3rd, and that, of course, is a Thursday. So we get there, and we go to a bar. Okay. And I was a college student. I walk outside. I left my friends at this bar, and I just started talking to two women. I just struck up conversation. I don't know why. And one of my buddies walks up to me and says, "Hey, where'd you go?" I was like, "No, I'm just outside talking." You know, if you're in college, you're in bars, if you're on the road, you might as well meet new people. So I'm talking to these two people, and 2 minutes into the conversation, after my buddy found me, he is sitting on a chair, and the girl, one of the girls, I've never seen game like this in my life. One of the girls sits on his lap, which was crazy. All right. I know that may not be revolutionary, but he had just gotten there. She sits on his lap, and I swear, 5 minutes after this girl, very pretty girl, my buddy's really cool dude, they exchange numbers, and then they start kissing. I've never seen this. I've never seen anything like that happen that fast. Okay. And, I was just talking. So I'm talking to this other person while my buddy is just going crazy. I was like, this is just nuts. And, they hung out the rest of the night. They went, I don't know. So I don't know what happened after that. Turns out they remained in contact, and they got married. I couldn't believe it. They ended up getting in a very serious relationship. I had a few beverages. I just wondered. And he went looking for me. And then he started talking. And I've never seen a love connection that fast. Like, they were into each other. And you always hear that phrase, like, love at first sight. Okay. That whole sequence is etched in my brain. I mean, he was head over heels. Okay. Never seen anything like that. Never. And speaking of love, I was waiting to tell this story to tie this in. Don't forget about our friends at the Pressy Collection and PressyCollection.com. Okay. If you are ready to pop the question, That's all you need to know. Hit me up on social media at Power Hour LSU, or you can go to PresidCollection.com for yourself. But I swear. So the exact sequence. We were drinking. We're at a bar. I, in my younger years, talked to everybody when I'd go out to bars. Some of my best friends, male and female, I met at bars. Okay. Just because I love conversation. I love talking to strangers when I'm drinking. I don't know why. Just talking to two women. He goes out looking for me. He starts talking to one of them. He sits down. She sits on his lap. 5 minutes later, gets her number. And I swear, they start kissing and never seen it. Never seen anything like it. And that changed the trajectory of their lives. That's why earlier when I said, hey, this was like the most impactful thing I did in college, it was that. Like, it wasn't because of me. I mean, they had to love each other themselves. I said nothing. But it was because of me that they started looking for it. It was so interesting. Huh? So are they still married? Interesting enough, LA Mom, I think so. I've not talked to him in years. Uh, but yeah, he was one of my really good friends in college. But you know how that goes. You know, life moves on and all that. One of the funniest guys. He knew NBA better than anybody. But yeah, he was great. Now let me know if you guys have a story like that. Maybe you met your lover, Jared or Doug. Unmatchable. Cologne. It might have been that. I don't know. But like I don't know. Like when Haley and I started seeing each other, I knew pretty quickly. I drug my feet. It took 4 years, but I knew pretty quickly. Okay. But yeah, it's a weird thing. It's a very weird thing. Like you never know. You never know. Whenever you go out, like there's a lot of good that can happen when you go out. There's a lot of bad that can happen when you go out. And I kind of miss that. Like I don't working from home. You do miss the spontaneity of some of the aspects of life like that. Okay. But I do believe they are still married. Here's what I do, Ellie Mom. I will reach out to him for the first time and figure that out for you. I met my wife when my sister joined her high school band. So like marching band or like Blink 182 band. I don't know why I said Blink 182. White Stripes band. Wait, White Stripes was a duo, right? I don't know. You guys know I'm not a music person. I met a woman on Long Island, New York after Sandy that knew grandmother from NOLA. That's crazy. Nicole, I got 30 years ago. She put something on me that I couldn't fight. Nicole's sweet though. It was a marching band. Oh man. Skipper, what instrument did Skipper play? Skipper once again has his Power Hour LSU.com merch on right now. I could tell she was a flautist. Cortland, what kind of comment is that? What kind of comment is that? Carla, that is just uncalled for. I don't know if that deserves a mute or a thumbs up. That was just that's just out of nowhere. Oh man. Skipper's like reminiscing about falling in love for the first time, and then Cortland drops that. Goodness gracious, man. What's up, Justin? Welcome to the channel. Where do you see the offensive defense being ranked this year? Where do you see the passing game, running, run defense, and pass defense being ranked? This one time on Bandcamp. Jared, we are doing some film stuff earlier. I think you missed it. That's some Matrix trivia. Everybody, welcome Justin to the channel. Justin probably jumped in at the wrong time. You know what's interesting about this, Justin? So my guy Branson cut up a pretty good short of my Patrick Queen interview, and I got into it on Twitter because Patrick Queen said something I actually do agree with. Okay, that the 2019 LSU defense. In the interview, Patrick Queen never said, "Hey, the 2019 LSU defense is an all-time great defense." He never said that. All he said in the interview that some people object to is the 2019 LSU defense deserves more respect. And I know what you're going to say. Well, of course he's going to say that. He's biased. And of course he is going to be biased towards his own unit. But he's right. The 2019 LSU defense was good. Okay. Now, the 2011 LSU defense was way better. The 03 LSU defense was way better. There's so many other 2016 LSU defense was better. There's so many defenses that were better than 2019 LSU defense, including 2018's defense. But they weren't bad, right? And the big myth that is spread about that defense is they weren't good. Okay. They were okay. They were okay. And I think okay is kind of an understatement. They were great. They were great. And someone said, "Hey, did you know the 21.6 points per game that the 2019 LSU defense gave up was the third lowest in the history of college football, or the third worst in the history of college football," which is true. But let's be honest here. They had two bad games, like Patrick Queen brought up, Texas and Vanderbilt. And Vandy wasn't really that bad. They took the foot off the gas. Then they had one bad half versus Tua. And I could argue that half really wasn't that bad. And they had the Ole Miss debacle, back-to-back road games. We have to discuss this all the way until the end of time. But then Patrick Queen brought up, and I'm waiting to get more clarification on this, that there was some kind of miscommunication issue with the Ole Miss game. 2019 LSU defense was good. Okay. So I like the way that this question is phrased. So where do you think they'll be ranked? The truth is, Justin, is now that college football is such an offensive game, and this is a God's honest truth. 2019 LSU's best defensive player was Joe Burrow, right? Because in order to have, a really good defense now, if your offense puts up so many points, you know what they say, the best defense is a good offense. Well, if Joe Burrow's putting up so many points, it doesn't matter how good your defense is, right? So the truth is, our defensive numbers kind of took a nosedive at the end of the year. And overall, our our defensive statistics weren't where we thought that they would be. Okay. Um, so yeah, our defense was very opportunistic defense last year. I think for us, Justin, you can get away with a not so great defense, but I don't think in the modern game you can get away with the offense that we had last year and actually win a playoff. Now, there was a lot that I liked about the offense last year, Justin, a lot. Our rushing statistics were very good. Our rush yards after contact were very good. Well, actually, the best in the sport. Um, a lot of our glance RPO stuff worked, which is a huge thing for Denbrock. I think he could have called more of it, to be honest. And I wasn't on fire about a lot of Denbrock games in general, but our offense has got to get better. Our offense has got to get better than what it was last year. Now, play for play efficiency, we were really good. We had the best 3-and-out percentage in the SEC. Not in Power 5 adjusted, but still really good. Jared, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate you. Okay. Let's call a spade here. We have got to be better offensively. And Justin, the defense I felt last year was good, but not quite good enough. And our offense was good, not quite good enough. Okay. Dwayne, thank you so much for the super chat. That goes a long way. I really appreciate you, man. I really, really do. So, Dwayne, you get to pick the next topic. Go right on ahead. Dwayne Dugas. Exactly. So, as Patrick Queen, and I do highly recommend, and Justin, I know you asked about present day, but I'm going to keep promoting the Patrick Queen interview because I'm from New Roads. He's from Ventress. My family knows his family. And I wanted to ask him about the biggest tackle in LSU history, which he made in the Clemson game. Right. But, one thing and one little rant I'll give you at the end here, Justin. I'll bring this up to Doug's super chat earlier. I'm happy for Coach O. I really am. He did get engaged. Brainy Nicole, shout out to you. You're going to be married to an icon. And of course, it brought up more Coach O discourse on Twitter. I'm not going to get into that tonight. Look, my relationship with Coach O is always going to be a great one, right? And look, I was very critical of him before the final season. Very. And Doug, I think you're around then. Jared, I know you're around. It was tough. It was brutal. Sometimes being very honest before the UCLA game even began. And it sucked. It really sucked to see everything go down like that. But it goes to show you how hard it is to coach in this sport. It's hard. It's really hard. It is hard to keep the foot on the gas pedal. It is a hard. Okay. But I don't think anyone should hate Coach O at all. You can be very critical of how things ended because it did crash and burn. And there are still some after effects. If you want to know more about those, we discussed them in the last live stream. I won't bring those back up now because it's kind of boring stuff, nothing too serious, but kind of. But yeah, I hope Coach O is very happy, and I'd love to have him on the channel one day. I really would, because we're just not who we are. I don't buy into anybody could have coached 2019 LSU. In truth, between the headsets, yes, that is true. But it did take somebody to orchestrate it, and he was a big reason why 2019 LSU was orchestrated the way that it was. Okay, so I don't just think anybody could have done that. Once again, between the headsets, actually coaching the games, yes. But it took somebody to bring it all together, make the ultimate choice that we needed to change offensively. Um, so there you go, right? Um, but yes, I'm very happy for Coach O. I'm very happy for where we are now with BK. Say what you want, but the man stays recruiting the best talent. Yeah, there's no other way around it. She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. That's all there is to it. I'm happy for her. Yeah, Rodney, I agree with this. We don't win Auburn if the LSU defense wasn't as good as it was. Something else, and this isn't. I'll write a book on all my hot takes about 2019 LSU. One hot take, and once again, this is going to come off really biased. I've interviewed him once before, okay, but I don't know him. Like I don't know him the same way like I know Patrick Queen now, right? Um, but one thing about 2019 LSU that people bring up all the time that's wrong is that Grant Delpit took a huge step back. Now, it wasn't the Grant Delpit of old, but it does take a little bit of a deeper dive to understand he played a new position. He played hurt, and he actually was fine, right? But that requires extra context. Now, there were some other players on the LSU defense that I think got more credit than they deserved compared to people just piling on Grant Delpit saying that he took a step back. But, you know, I think Grant Delpit was a fine player. I do. Okay. Obviously, his first 2 years are more productive. All right. And you can also have this opinion that Grant Delpit wasn't as good that year as he was the other years, but also at the same time say that the Thorpe probably shouldn't have gone to Grant Delpit that final year. It should have gone to him in 2018, but that's a different discussion. Everybody, welcome Matt to the channel. Matt, good to see you. If we talked about our chances for Keon Coleman, I did. And Matt, I hope you subscribe. I don't think they're as opportunistic as LSU fans would like to think. I'll put it at that. Huh? 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 I would love to see him in purple and gold, but it's going to be hard. It's going to take a lot. It's true. Couldn't have said it better myself. Man. Let's see. Let's see something. That's so interesting. Go ahead, Skipper. Get you some good rest, man. Super chat question from Dwayne. How's you, Dwayne? I see it. My daughters still live in Cali. They pop in often to Vegas and are pumped about LSU going to play there. Who else plans on making the trip to that brand spanking new stadium versus USC? So, as you can see, everybody's already had their plans booked for a game that's not even happening this year. We have 16 people going and a suite booked. Dang, Doug, where's it? Doug, room for 2 more, and I'll send you this card. I love it. I freaking love it. All right, Justin. Hope you subscribe, man. So Jared doesn't have his thing booked yet. We got another reservation. Dwayne had the Airbnb are reserved already in Vegas. This is wild. No invites. What up with that? Huh? 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 Yeah, you did super chat. So I've never stayed on the strip in Vegas. I have stayed at Circa in Vegas, the new big sports book luxury hotel. I love Circa. Now, if the strip is better than Circa, I spent one day on the strip. Um, if that's better than Circa, then so be it. A lot of people would tell me that it is. But I'm also relatively simple. So I like Circa because it's on Fremont. Fremont's fun. But yeah, I would freaking love to go. But I need to go in and make some plans. Well, let's work it out. Let's work it out, Doug. I'd love to. That'd be great. Cheesesteaks on me. Huh? Huh? As long as Buster's going. Buster's in that time zone, so he's definitely going. So Thomas jutted in earlier during the movie discussion, and he also says Fremont is much better than the Strip. I liked Fremont. Like, the Strip was a little bit different for me because I was by myself. I played poker all day, and then I went to a Golden Knights hockey game, and they finally went viral on Facebook for their introduction. Dude, that was the coolest sports thing I think I've witnessed, like non-LSU related. Their entrance and their presentation. I'm not even a hockey fan. Stuff was crazy. Like, number one, the tickets were expensive. Goodness gracious, but it was great. I love the Vegas Knights. They're my hockey team. I love it so much. I still got my ticket up here. But yeah, man, I like it. I like it. So Buster says the Strip is better than Fremont. 7-hour drive. BR getting a hockey team? God, they're really going to suspend Jokic. There was a NASCAR fight. Well, Doug, I will say this. We have all been in the room together at one point. Jared was in there when you were there. Did you meet Jared at the I'm pretty sure you did at the Stumpies get together. Let me ask you guys this. Okay. You guys know I'm a big food guy. Do you really think the celebrity chefs are way better chefs than like you and I? I'm serious. Like, do you think these like I've had Salt Bay restaurant. Don't do it. Don't do Salt Bay. Now, when I think of like celebrity, like I've never gone to Gordon Ramsay's restaurants. I wanted to try the Gordon Ramsay burger. I'm looking at him cooking it right now. Should I ever go to the Gordon Ramsay burger place? Looks pretty good. Joshua's out on the food talk. Dwayne, I love it. You already sent the super chat. I love it. But you think the NBA is staged. Look, I'm about that life. I just saw. Okay, so I saw the Jokic fight. You guys know. All right. The Jokic. Okay. I've not watched a second of this game. I didn't know Jokic went for 53 tonight. I'm telling you. I have no idea how Embiid won this MVP over Jokic. Yeah, he averaged more points. Just because we didn't want to give him 3 straight MVPs. Okay? I can't believe I'm turning into a Jokic fan. I don't like the Nuggets. I was a big Allen Iverson fan, and I know he played for them eventually. But Jokic's the best player. He just is. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Okay. This is my retort to this, is when people bring this up. All right. So, like, all the advanced stats pointed to Jokic. All right. So, the stats that I don't understand. All right. So, if you're an analytics person, you're going to think Jokic automatically. I like analytics. I cite them in football quite a bit, but I'm not an analytics ace to understand all of it, like VORP and win shares and all of that. But Embiid missed more games. Am I wrong about that? Like, Embiid was hurt more games than Jokic. So you're going to fade towards the end of the season more than most if you've played more games. And he's in a tougher conference, the West versus the East. And their rosters are pretty similar, right? Like, is Murray a better player than James Harden at this point in his career? Probably. But they're about the same as number 2s. And then, like, their 3 through 8 supporting cast are still, like, good. But this was the deciding thing for me, because I was open to, because, like, with awards, I don't want narratives to get in the way of an award, right? And obviously there was a narrative against Jokic because people did not want him being the first 3 in a row MVP since Bird, right? And you guys know the narratives. There's all different kinds of narratives out there. Okay. And I was fine with giving it to Embiid. I'd always lean towards Jokic, but they had a regular season game at the end of the year. Embiid was healthy. He was healthy. Jokic was healthy. And we had a tight MVP race. So this would have been huge for the NBA's regular season that everyone tells you it doesn't matter. This would have been huge for a lot of different things. And it would have, had like this one final thing between the top 2 players. And Embiid ducked Jokic. He load managed that game. Why? Well, his excuse obviously was to get ready for the playoffs. So that is you telling me that the regular season doesn't mean anything for a regular season award. He ducked him. Okay. And it is without reasonable doubt that if Embiid needed that game to win the MVP, he would have played. He played, you guys. Every single one of you that wanted Embiid to win the award, to win the MVP, he played you. And you played yourself. That's the problem. I'm not a big fan of ducking. I'm not a big fan of it. And Embiid ducked Jokic. There's no other explanation. None. If Doc Rivers sat Embiid out, Don't you think Embiid would have gone to Doc and said, "Hey, I need this game to win the MVP"? Doc would have let him play. Embiid decided to sit out that game. He decided to back into the MVP to duck Jokic because we all know Jokic's better. He's better. Now, Embiid was excellent today. The pass to James Harden for the three, huge. I watched the end of that game. That was a really good assist. More bad defense from Jaylen Brown, but still. Okay. What's my opinion on Dustin Crawfish? Oh, man. Y'all blame Pierce for the Dustin Crawfish debate this week. I'm just not a big fan of that. Don't duck. Don't. Okay. So Branson, you think Embiid deserved it over Jokic? Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins saying the stuff about the playoffs. So stupid. It's a regular season award. Just because Jokic wins 3 in a row does not mean he's an all-time better player than Kobe Bryant. It does not mean, even though Kobe only won 1, it doesn't mean that. That would be stupid. And people are saying, well, Kobe only got 1. We don't want to give Jokic 3 in a row. That has no bearing on Kobe Bryant. Has no bearing on any MVP ever. The MVP is a singular award and is only a piece of a player's all-time pie. Okay. Jokic, the award should go who the best player actually is in the NBA. And Jokic in a tougher conference got the 1 seed. Embiid got what, the 2 or 3 seed in the East. Didn't play as many games and ducked him. Now he averaged more points per game. But yeah, like if Jokic would have won 3 in a row, not a soul. There is not a single soul that would have moved Jokic ahead of Tim Duncan. There's probably quite a few people that wouldn't have put Jokic ahead of, let's say, a Dirk Nowitzki. He wouldn't have been ahead of Giannis. A third straight MVP would not have honestly moved Jokic up the ladder all that much, right? There still would be a lot of power forwards that would be ahead of him, right? Hakeem would definitely still be ahead of him. Duncan would definitely still be ahead of him. Carmelo would probably still be ahead of him. A lot of Barkley would probably still be ahead of him. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, he would have accomplished a third MVP at a young age and likely could have moved ahead of some of those names. But yeah, I mean, it's not. It honestly has very. It has a lot to do with your legacy, but it's not the be all end all, right? And this goes back to what I've always said about the NBA. All right, especially these last couple of years. Every NBA title that has ever been won is not truly representative of how that regular season actually happened, right? Um, the NBA is one sport. There's other sports that do this, but it's one sport where it completely changes so many different aspects of its sport to determine a champion. And that's why, like, you should not discount regular season awards. In fact, we should celebrate 1 seeds in the regular season more than we do. But it's also important to dissect the difference between playing in the playoffs and playing in a regular season game. It is a completely different sport. It is a completely different sport. Yeah, exactly. Steve Nash won 2 MVPs with Shaq around MVP. It's not that great of an award. I still think it's a great award, but yeah, it's not. When it comes to legacies, it's not the be all end all. It's not. Okay. Now, I will also say this. Embiid still had a great season. Embiid still had a great season. He did. So there you go. Now, I don't know. I've defended Jokic so much over these past couple of weeks. I still put all those power forwards ahead of him at this point. All of them. But like the best big man in the NBA, I still think is Giannis. I still think it's Giannis. Um, I still think it's Giannis. As long as it's not Anthony Davis, I'm happy. I think Giannis, I think mm, I don't know. I think Jimmy Butler is so underrated. Right. Well, Pierce, you don't think Giannis is better? You don't think Giannis is better? How many players in the NBA is better than Giannis? So you Pierce, I know you saw my LSU baseball tweet. Apparently, people are really concerned about this baseball team. I know it's championship or bust. Oh no, a Florida wide receiver. What a Florida wide receiver compared Graham Mertz to Joe Burrow. That's bold. All right, let's go to Grand Super Chat. Now, go on and give me your opinion on Giannis. I thought Peyton Manning should have gotten the NFL MVP in 11 when he sat out with this neck injury. Colts went 2-14 after perennial having playing in the AFC Championship and 2 Super Bowls with Manning. You know, any Peyton Manning propaganda, I am all for it. This is a pro Peyton channel. I know I'm an LSU guy, so Burrow's always going to be my GOAT. And I know I got Saint stuff back here, so I'm always going to be a Drew Brees fan. But Peyton Manning is my QB1. Well, Joe is my QB1. But Peyton Manning, growing up, taking away all of my Louisiana biases. And I know Peyton Manning is from Louisiana, but still. When I was little, I really didn't know that. Peyton Manning is the GOAT. The GOAT. Okay? I agree. You know who else would have only had 2 wins had their quarterback been out for the entire year? Arkansas, because KJ Jefferson is the Arkansas Razorbacks program. If you're gonna get propaganda from an LSU YouTuber for KJ Jefferson and Peyton Manning, you're gonna get it right here. But yes, Grant, I agree with you. Who won the MVP in 11? Let's see. It was Manning that year. 2011 was Aaron Rodgers. That was Aaron's first of 4. Peyton had won all 5 of his before 2011. No. He won 1 with the Broncos after that. Let's see. I love the end of these live streams. It just gets random sports takey. Let's see. There you go. Oh, look at that. Sean Alexander got an MVP mixed in there. I'm telling you. You want to know a bold quarterback take? I think Steve McNair, like decades from now, will be celebrated a lot more than how he is celebrated now, right? Obviously, his life ended tragically early, but I think there are so many different aspects of Steve McNair's career that is very fascinating, that I think will make him, more beloved as years go by, right? Like, I think he is like one of these quarterbacks that we don't talk enough about. But I get it. He was never like truly the best quarterback. But he was so good. Steve McNair was so freaking good in the NFL. Air McNair, what a dude, man. What a freaking dude. I always have this Air McNair card. I'll show you this. This is one of my favorite cards right here. Two of my favorite quarterbacks growing up. God, I loved these guys. Air McNair and Dante Culpepper. These guys, they made the NFL so much fun, man. I've done this too many times on here. Dante, let's go. Yeah, so I'll give you my thoughts on LSU baseball. I shared some earlier. I don't think you should panic. I do think, some of these games are like very hideous, right? Like it's clunky. But here is why baseball is different, okay? It is so much harder, especially in the SEC, to have a dominant women's basketball, college football level team because of the scholarship limitations, okay? Now, I've shared my thoughts on why I think college baseball games should only be 7 innings. And it has a lot to do with the scholarship limitations. 11.7 scholarships. None of these kids get full scholarships. None of them. Okay. Maybe 1 or 2 of them. Maybe. So there's just, especially with the way the SEC is now, last year we had it with Tennessee, but number one, you had the randomness with baseball where, if you get knocked out of a super regional or a regional, your season's a disappointment. And you have these best 2 out of 3 series where you need more pieces to have a dominant baseball team. LSU's had a lot of pitching injuries. I just think it is so much harder to have a start to finish dominant baseball team. I think moving forward, the easiest sport to have a dominant from start to finish team is going to be women's basketball because the players stay 3 to 4 years and your best players play offense and defense and everybody gets a full scholarship and you get 13 to dish out to whoever you want to give them to. So you can stockpile talent. And LSU's going to do that, right? They got the best coach. They've got the best players. LSU baseball's got one of the best coaches. They've got some of the best players, but you can't ever fully have a dominant baseball team in college. You just can't. It is. I just don't think you'll ever see like a team that just goes like 30-3 or something like that, like something ridiculous. I just think it's impossible. I really do. So every baseball team is going to have holes, and LSU baseball obviously has huge pitching holes. But with the randomness of baseball, I think they'll be fine. Doug, you weren't an Air McNair guy? I'm not saying Air McNair is like with the Mannings and the Bradys and whoever, Mahomes. I'm not saying like he's on that level, but you gotta show some love to Steve Air McNair, baby. You gotta show some love, baby. I'm telling you, his highlights are absurd, bro. Air McNair. We're a pro Alcorn State channel on here. Let's go. Look at this car, Doug. Look at this. Look at that. I think Doug's just shocked that we got into the Air McNair. But Grant pointed out, I'm going to be honest. I totally forgot Air McNair won an MVP. Totally forgot. But he did. What a dude, man. What a freaking dude. Steve Air McNair. Let's go. It'll come back. The bats will come back. Dylan Cruz had a bad series. What about the Skip Bertman teams back in the 90s? Okay. Good point, Robbie. All right. So I'm gonna make an admission as an LSU fan that will might lose you some subscribers. Okay. I have still not watched the full Hold the Rope documentary. Now I've watched like different bits and pieces, but it does share a few things that make LSU baseball very interesting. Part of why Skip Bertman was such a great coach is quite simply put, he cared. Okay. Like LSU baseball was nothing before he got there. Absolutely nothing. Right. College sports was not what it is now. Right. It was honestly his will and desire. Like it wasn't that he was like he just knew more about baseball than just everybody. Now he was a better coach, but part of why he was good was he was a good leader of men, right? They that was a big part of the documentary. So at that time period, him caring about LSU baseball and those guys that really got the program started. Now, once again, Ronnie Rance, there's a lot of different people that are way smarter about this than me. But what they one theme was not everybody cared about college baseball the way that they do now. Okay. So part of why Skip Bertman was so dominant was he cared. He started demanding resources to be given to the baseball program. And of course, he had to get winning going, but and SEC baseball historians, college baseball historians, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you didn't have all the SEC care about college baseball like they do now. Okay. Hold the Rope. If you have a ESPN Plus, you can watch it, I believe. Um, but so like it was Skip Bertman, Turtle Thomas, all those people that really got, the train moving. Were they the best coaches? Probably. But it was just the fact that they put so much time and effort and Skip was really good with people. That's how things really started going. All right. So uh they were so dominant because they just had so many better players, right? But now that the SEC, um, now that the SEC is just so freaking good, all these SEC programs have ridiculous facilities. Ridiculous. Okay. Now, I have been to only one other SEC ballpark, and that is Arkansas. Okay. But I've I've seen like what Ole Miss baseball games are like. Mississippi State's baseball stadium is ridiculous. They got apartments and suites inside the stadium, grill. I mean, just all this crazy stuff. Everybody cares about college baseball now. Everybody. So it's plus recruiting is a lot easier now. Um, Rodney, I shared this earlier, and I think you were in here. I don't remember, but I spoke to a college baseball coach this weekend who got a JUCO program from scratch. 2 years into it, they're nationally ranked. Recruiting, social media. It's so much easier now to get good baseball talent around the country because of social media. But honestly, a lot, and this is how it's been explained to me. A big reason why Skip beat so many teams' rear ends is that he just outworked a lot of people, and he was just really good at structuring a program. Could be wrong though. Doug Knows is a great choice. Yeah, Jodine. There you go. Oh, so this happens all the time. Okay. Some people get their. So if you're watching on your phone and your finger touches an earlier portion of the live stream, you think you're watching it live, but you're not. Okay, so H-Town is watching the portion about an hour ago where Doug won this card. Did I watch any of King Charles's coronation? Okay. This is a random super chat. Okay. But Grant, I'm about to reveal something that is absolutely absurd. So Haley and I were in London last year at this exact time. So we honestly thought about pushing it a year back, right? And I'm still paying off that trip. It's an expensive trip. I do think when you go to Europe, it's better to go for more than a week. Okay. Um, so I would have been there. Haley would have been there. And I would have hated that. Number one, we wouldn't have been close to the actual coronation. Number two, everything's prices would have been jacked up. And there would have been so much more security and difficulty getting around. So we would have been there for that, which is kind of just crazy to think about. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Nothing against the king, but still. I didn't watch a second of it. But Grayton, you know I'm a big London guy. I love London. I love the way London does a lot of different things. But you know, didn't watch any of it. I'm gonna be honest. I saw a few like Twitter memes. But man, I didn't know people had such hot takes about England. But this will be I'm not gonna get into like a World War conversation. It's not why I'm here. But yeah, what I will say is a lot of people in England feel this way about the royal family. They do. Okay. Um, Also, England's got the best, a lot of things. They've got some of the best people I've ever met. They've got some of the best food I've ever had, but it wasn't English food. The Indian food there is so good. It's got such a big Indian population. Um, but the public transportation, as someone who doesn't have a car, I loved it. Obviously, I did. So I'm super biased towards public transportation. But I love London. It's such a great city. Such a great city. Paris is great too. Next year, I'll probably, I don't know. I'll see where my wife wants to go. It's gonna take a lot of super chats, so we're not there yet. Huh? 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 The Mardi Gras float captain. That is true. But yeah, I highly recommend you check out Chris Rock's latest special for a few extra thoughts on the royal family from a different perspective. But yeah, it is not necessarily my cup of tea. Y'all get that? It's not my cup of tea. Type Y for yes if you got that. Type in for no if you didn't get that joke. It's not my cup of tea. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, man. There you go, Graylin. There you go, Graylin. I knew Graylin was coming in hot. I love it. Speaking of MVP winner, I didn't know Vita Blue died. Well, I mean, I saw it earlier, but man, that was when the Oakland A's were good. Now they're moving to Vegas. Shakari Richardson's back. That's good. Graylin was the only one that liked the cup of tea joke. So Taylor Swift is going to do the show tonight. Good. Good. My wife said that was the best show she's ever been to. That's cool. Happy for her. Watching Avengers? no, Doug. That's a deep cut. All right, y'all. I'm gonna wrap it up. That is not what Nick Cannon said. There's another joke for him. But yeah, congrats to Doug Knows. We hit 9,000 subscribers. Got ourselves a card. And I might be sitting with them at the game versus USC here in a few months, years, whatever. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the ones that got us to 9,000 subscribers. You heard the wild story from Tuscaloosa. You've heard it all tonight. We're going to try and get a Trey Amos film study up for tomorrow night. We cut one a little bit earlier, and you got to see a piece of it. So, guess what? We are going to obviously try and get a big one out tomorrow. Okay? Now, I know we have a lot of PHLers currently battling illness, and yeah, I mean, life's tough. I hate to hear that. It hurts me. Some are very serious. Some are, injuries. I know Tyler and a few others have had surgeries, shoulder replacements, and all of that. Yeah, it's been tough. It's really tough. But stay strong. We're all in this together. Not like the Zac Efron song, High School Musical, but we really are all in this together. Okay? It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! And tonight, Haley made ribeyes. Let's go. Steak night. Can't beat it Sundays. Let's